Welcome to another edition of Club Geneva. I'm your host Shay, and tonight we have a very special person here. His name is Michael Banks. He has a lot of insight and intrigue into the topic that we discussed previously about the fact that does black leadership actually exist? So this will be an extension of that podcast. So Mike, man, how you doing today?
How you doing? What's going on with you?
I'm doing fine, man. I'm doing perfect. So why don't you tell us a little bit about you and who you are?
My name is Michael Banks. Just a regular guy, I like to say, that like to hopefully build up his community.
Right.
You know, I was a youth coach, single father, just out here trying to be kind, as they say today.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what's your background?
Was born and raised here, graduated, got married, divorced, just worked and been doing a lot of youth work coaching, coach baseball, football, basketball, my kids all the way up to high school. And now I'm just entrepreneur, hanging out, trying to help whoever want to get help.
Got you. So how did you get started down this path of being a part of the community and trying to make an impact?
Well, I have to give much respect to one of my great mentors, Archie Lundsey. He was a councilman here, and he was coach of my Metro View football team, the mega coach. And he was a lot of inspiration for me to give back and help others people. And I just continued, and people always would ask me, hey, Banks, can you help me coach? Can you help me with these kids? And I've been doing it for over 20 years.
Okay. So you should have a lot of insight into leadership in our community. And that's why I asked that question, because it kind of helps people at home to kind of see, like, how did you get on this road and how do you apply to this particular topic? So how do you see black leadership in our community today? We can start at the micro level right here in our own city.
Well, I think it's they like to be heard. The leadership has, as they say, led the path, but they gotta be willing to accept change and progress. So I would say the leadership is okay, but I don't like it that it seems that we only come together when it's something negative. Let's try to do something positive. Build the bridge. Let's make something where they can say, hey, build the field, and they will come. I think we need to get back to more of that instead of the reactions of some maybe a mistake or things just we can't win them all.
Right.
So let's get back to, hey, let's build this field.
Now I think that's interesting that you said that when things happen, that's when leadership, black leadership in the community kind of pops out. That's when it's most active, when things happen. We are kind of prone to, when those incidents happen, actually looking at black leadership because it's so visible during those times. But that doesn't mean that it's not working in the background. So when I hear questions like when this question was posed to me about where is black leadership in the community, my thoughts was like initially like everywhere, right? It's all different forms of it. It's not just the political leadership that we all see that's always on TV. We have so many black people in our communities that are doing so many things, such as yourself. I mean, no matter what you think about our communities of color, they could be a lot worse.
Now, I'm going as 2024, like you said, it could be a lot worse, but are we in the worst state of situation right now? What I'm starting to look at, because when you do talk to some of the leaders, I mean, they actually are repeating themselves of what I have known for 30 years. And I'm trying to get out of that form myself, because, I mean, we're doing the same thing over and over. And the outcome is basically the same.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's a broad issue. That's all over the landscape of our country, right? That's not just particular to this city. Yeah, but, I mean, it's a good time to, it's a great segue into actually what it is. It's a huge problem across every community of color in the country. So, I mean, when you say that they're repeating, you mean that they're doing the same thing that they're doing every police shooting Right?
A march.
A march. Okay. I see what you're saying now. March, a protest,
courtyard, and like I said, I'm gonna stick to it. Not knowing all the facts before they spoke, we gotta do better with that. That's what I meant really by repeating.
Those incidents like that, they have so much energy. I mean, it seems like you can't control the message during times like that, because you got one instance, you have family members who are very upset no matter what the incident is. Families are always going to side with their family members. And then you have, I've noticed the protest side of things where you have the activists and people who want to, make sure that the message is being shown on media and being broadcast across, the country if we can do so. And then you have the legal factors, the people who are involved from that side of things who are trying to make sure that the legal issues and the facts and all of the important parts of that incident are maintained and and being able to be used as viable evidence. So it's a lot of different factors happening at that time, and it's a lot of energy that goes into that. I don't know how a black leader would be able to control that message. Leadership can only do so much, but the cultural shifts are a different thing, and that would be tough for me to handle. But I mean, I think we're going down a rabbit hole. We could talk about police shootings all day long.
Well,
because I got my own problems with those, and it's not necessarily a community issue. It's more of a wider issue of systemic problems that have always existed from the origins of policing. But so we have other issues that are facing us. What do you think about how would community leaders and leaders in general, black leaders in general, because it's not just about the community, it's about all these black leaders that we put into place in our politics. We primarily are left-leaning as a people, and I think that hasn't played all the way to our advantage. But with that being said, we have a lot of leaders in our political parties, and how do you think they should handle the wealth gap that's in this country, because it's huge?
I mean, it just seems like other groups are getting access to more resources than the people in the black community.
Well, looking up certain studies, the median wealth of white households in the U.S. is approximately 8 to 10 times greater than that of a black household, with the median white household having a wealth of $188,000 and the black household wealth averaging $24,000. That's gigantic. That is gigantic. And I think that's why I was so intrigued by this show, wanting to do this show, is because I'm not so sure that is just a African American, we're not doing what we're supposed to type of deal. And I know it comes from systemic racism, and we put these usually left-leaning people into positions of power. And what's in it for us once they get there? You have to be intentionally targeting that issue. You can't just say, I'm going to do this really huge policy that's going to help all Americans. With that type of wealth gap, you have to specifically help African Americans overcome that hurdle, because especially why you have our vote already, because of systemic racism. That's why we appeal to the left-leaning parties, is because they're the party that claims to be the ones that are going to help us get out of these economic issues, these cultural problems that exist within our community, these health issues that exist in our community. What do you think is failing within leadership that's not getting us over this hurdle?
That's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. What is failing? Well, you got the wrong leaders. Everybody's not a leader just because you get the label.
I mean, with 19% of black families having zero or negative net worth compared to 9% of white families, it's not anything that is going to give us any type of future success. It's a lot of people out there who are generation after generation after generation of poverty and not having the abilities for whatever reason, because typically it all goes back to systemic issues. People, and our counterparts, people of different races in this country, they always look at it like, oh, they got a problem. They got, they don't know how to eat right. They don't know how to treat each other. They don't know how to this. They only associate that to observations. They never look deeper than, they never scratch underneath the surface to see the systemic issue. And I think they can't. What I'm saying is if a person that's not of color says, yes, there's a true understanding that systemic racism is the issues in African American communities. How can I hold on to that white supremacist ideology? Because now I'm not supremacist anymore. I'm actually a part of the problem. And my wealth and the things that I've acquired, now they're attributed it to that white supremacy. So I always look at that like, how can people even, like, how can you even, it's going to be tough for a white person to say that and actually be able to hold on to their own ideals and concepts. So I think it's a no-win situation for us, honestly. We'll never get the masses to accept the systemic racial issues.
My advice was just learn how to move, because we've been fighting and fighting and fighting, and we kind of losing. I think we losing our way if I keep fighting instead of just build until we hit that wall. Because I mean, aren't we living in the state of the most black millionaires ever?
Hey, good point.
I mean, what's going on? We got numbers now.
Yeah, you know what? I don't like to. I like to bring those statistics up, and I like to talk about systemic racism. I like to talk about the effects of slavery. I like to talk about how we were redlined and Jim Crow and segregation and mass incarceration and all of it. But at the end of the day, I like to look more so at accountability. What can we do? We know what happened. We know why it happened. Mm-hmm. Now we need to just that's where that is at. And we need to do what we need to do to build wealth right now and to make things better for our family. We can't just stay in this victimized state. Correct. Where we are just kind of like suffering. Because think about it. That's why I think that the left side kind of, They do a good job of making us feel like victims all the time. They do a great job of that. And, they kind of know that at the end of the day, if we can make them feel a certain way, we'll have their vote. But at the end of the day, we have to be accountable for our own success, because obviously the leaders in this country, whether it's from a community aspect or from a larger aspect, they're not going to do anything for us.
No, they're not.
They're not going to do it. They're not going to do a damn thing for us. And they've already proven that, which is why I kind of feel like everyone's so shocked.
Hold up. Now, hey, we got to get this. Hold up. But I think I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Let me brace myself.
I think that's why everyone is so shocked that this vote didn't go the way they thought it should go.
They thought they was winning, but how about the other people that weren't thinking like them? Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean this was the one I think that is going to shake up the way politics works with African American communities and leadership for a few reasons. Because I think that I think that liberals are going to have to come to terms with the fact that this trick that we've been pulling is not going to work anymore. And if we want votes from African Americans, and if we want them to put us in leadership roles, then we're going to have to actually show up and actually have something that is for them specifically. It used to be a time where African Americans, was a lot of things like our politicians would appeal directly to us and say, we understand what you went through, and this is what we're going to do to fix those issues, like affirmative action and other policies that helped us get out of some of those things that I spoke about earlier. But now it's a point where these politicians now, they're just like, okay, we're not just going to do something for you. We're going to do something for everyone at the same time. And that's not going to work with us anymore.
Or, on top of that, when they do offer us stuff, sorry to cut you off.
No, go right ahead, please. Yeah, this is just open conversation.
They tell us it's about us Then 3 paragraphs down, they include the others.
Mm-hmm.
So it was never for us then. If others are included, we need to start getting tangibles for us. Everybody else is getting them. I mean, they call reparations, aid, whatever. I mean, but why not just for us, like they do for Stop Asian Hate? They got those bills passed just for
now, I mean,
them.
we have had some bills that have passed that, target some of the issues, but I just don't see them as changing many of the circumstances that we face. They don't work, right?
They didn't even enforce them.
Mm. Okay, I see what you're saying. They're not even enforce them altogether.
Like the hate crime bill is, I mean, they use it only in certain situations, but it seems like it's a hard time when it's a hate crime that's done to a black minority. I mean, those charges seem to be hard to be filed.
Just like any other charges, we fall victim to hate crimes and different issues, and it just doesn't play out in our favor, as we've seen so many times in recent news. And I think that one of the things that our leadership is overlooking 100% is the influence of black fathers. I think a lot of our problems can be solved with helping black fatherhood increase its net worth, right? We've been pulled down since the 60s.
Pull up the numbers.
Which numbers? What you got?
Black fathers are the number one fathers in the race group that take care of their families.
Let's see. Which
pull that number up.
Okay. So where did you get that from? Let's see.
Oh man, I don't have my.
I mean, but where are you? So you got.
Last I looked.
Okay.
When I did my research. It was like the last 2 years.
Okay, so our black fathers, the most. What would we say? The most.
I say group.
Most influential, I don't know, most influential group of fathers in the country. I mean, that's a tough one for me. That's one of those.
Yeah, you didn't know? Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see.
You on the professional side?
No, let's see. Yeah.
If not, we going to break it down to we stick around.
Okay. Well, I mean, let's look here. So it says. Studies including a 2013 CDC report show that black fathers are among the most involved fathers when it comes to activities like feeding, bathing, and playing with the children. And even if they don't live in the same household, black fathers are often prioritizing teaching resilience, cultural pride, life skills, and to help their children navigate systematic challenges. They embody perseverance and responsibilities, helping to shape their children's identity and future aspirations. The list goes on with mentorship and guidance, advocacy, cultural preservation, and let's look at the negative stereotypes and challenging stereotypes. Yeah. Let's see. Despite persistent stereotypes of absenteeism, research consistently shows that black fathers are active and dedicated. These misconceptions often overshadow their positive contributions. Black fathers often have to overcome systematic barriers such as economic disparities, incarceration rates, discrimination, and make their influence even more profound, which actually, to me, adds credibility to what I'm saying. Is with all of those things that we have to overcome, that's the problem. So, looking at what I just read, right? Black fathers have so much to overcome. And especially when you talk about the black fathers that are non-existent because of the issues that we have to deal with, like black incarceration. Those rates are so high. Sure, we have great fatherhood. We have great qualities in being fathers as black men. But with fathers who are absent because of incarceration, being out of the home because of separation, and housing kicking black men out of homes. We deal with that. That's a systematic issue, is fatherless homes in black communities, despite the quality of who we are.
Okay, well, hey, maybe, it's a two-way street, but maybe these females need to quit having these kids until they're ready. on both sides. The males too.
Yeah.
The males too. I mean, we gotta throw that issue out there too.
I get it. Okay, so along the lines of that incarceration rate, because I think that's huge. Now, we're only 13% of the population, but we account for 38% of the incarcerated population.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of black men in jail.
Yeah.
And I think that is a problem that our leaders, that's what we put them in place for, is to stop, to find solutions to some of the crimes that exist in our communities that are a reflection not of totally how black men are, but it reflects the fact that we don't have enough jobs in our community, that crime is allowed to flourish in our communities because police presence is often after the fact, right? There's not a lot of work put in beforehand to stop crime, such as in other communities where there's a police presence that walks up and down the street, that knows people in the community, that has a rapport with the community. So crime is not allowed to fester. We have a lot of black men who are in jail because of systematic issues, not so much as what they actually did. And we have a lot of our leaders to thank. Some people would say even Kamala Harris, right? Definitely Bill Clinton, right? With the 3 strikes and things like that. I mean, these politicians play a part. These people who we put into office, who are supposed to be for us historically, they actually do the most. They do some of the most jacked up things and put us in some of the worst positions. I would believe so.
It's 2024 now. We getting deep. I would believe so. Or is that their job?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's another way.
We got to start looking at it like that.
That's another way to look at it.
I mean, I wouldn't vote for Bill Clinton after knowing what I know now. But
yeah, of course,
the game that they pushed though was they sold a good game. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's what I see with most of the politicians, right? Is that especially with liberals, they sold a good game for many, many years, and this new election just showed them that game is over with. So, what do you feel about black people coming out to support this Republican president who, he's a lot of people argue he's done some good and fine. I've seen him do a lot of jacked up stuff, but at the same rate, I just think that is a reflection of the fact that we're just tired of the status quo. We're tired of just being pushed around by one party, and being that someone like Trump is going to possibly offer us a better deal, I think people jumped on it. What do you think about that?
I really don't know about offering us a better deal, but I'm not going to keep voting for the same thing that happened to me later on in my future ways. No, I think that's where I'm at. I'm going to try something different. So, hey, if he offers something, but I'm okay because he has been president before, and what he offered was nothing, and I'm okay with that because he also didn't do nothing to harm us, though. You got to look at that side of it.
You don't think so? A lot of people are saying different.
When he was, that was 8 years ago, and I don't see too much. I don't hear nobody running around, he did this to me, because you got to remember, he was already there. That's what I'm talking about. For 4 years. 4 more years later, we had 8 years, and I haven't heard nobody run around and say he did this to me.
Yeah, we had 8 years of Obama, we had 4 years of Trump, then we had 4 years of Biden, and now we got another 4 years of Trump.
You misquoted a fact.
Which one I missed?
We had 4 years of Biden as a president. We had 40 years of Biden as a politician. We had 8 years of Biden as the vice president. So with Biden, I mean,
what do you think?
How can we compare? Let's compare Biden to Trump. Joe Biden has been in politics for 40 years. I'm a numbers guy. So we have a person that don't align with the black community for 40 years. So we bring in this guy that's the same for four years. How can you tell me that the 40-year person is not worse than the person for 4 years? That's what I'm trying to figure out. This man been around for 40 years and he didn't help us. So why they so mad at a man who didn't help us for 4 years? I'm mind boggled about that.
That's a good point. I mean, so looking at like some of this stuff on Joe Biden, I mean, Like you said, his political career spanned over 40 years. I'm glad you mentioned that. And I've always thought that too. Like, it's some things that I've heard about Joe Biden's past that have came up recently. And I'm like, that's interesting to know. And one was Joe Biden opposed busing as a means of school desegregation, which involved transporting black students to predominantly white schools. He argued that it was a fundamental mistake.
I think that's not a good example because, I mean, maybe we would have stayed educating our own.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we wouldn't be in those positions.
I mean,
to
we
begin
did
with.
have the Black Panthers started the what? Before and after school feeding programs, which we don't have the Black Panthers, right? Party so-called like back then, but we do have the same program run by the government.
That's a good point. But I think the thing with Joe Biden is it's a lot more than just one thing. So if you look at that one thing that he did, that he stated, I think it's the context. I think in the context he was saying that it's a mistake because it was going to affect white children and white communities, not the fact that it was going to hurt us. And I think that's the context of that. But the 1994 crime bill, Biden played a significant role in crafting and supporting a Violent Crime and Control Law Enforcement Act, also known as the crime bill. It led to increased policing, longer sentences, and harsher penalties for crimes like drug offenses. And this is right along with what I mentioned with Bill Clinton. But then we put that guy in position of power, as a vice president and a president. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a bad move on Obama when I first heard that he picked Joe Biden as vice president. I say that because it seems like anytime that we get a position of power, we kind of forget about our own people. And I'm not even talking about just like black people. I'm talking about a woman could have been in that position, a minority, Hispanic, Asian. It was a lot. It was a lot more choices to pick from. But what does that say to Black America and to other people? Like, anytime that we get in a position of power, we forget about picking our own people to sit next to us. It's like we feel embarrassed, or we feel like we're going to be looked at as we love our race more than anybody else. But every other president has always picked a white person to sit next to them as vice president. What's so wrong with us? Why can't we have a black person sitting next to us to continue that, to help that leadership? Why is that looked at and frowned upon? Not by everybody else, by us. Why is that frowned upon?
Okay. How about this? Not even an example. Vice President Harris. She tried to campaign. She tried to get the black community, the black vote on her side, and I get all that. But so let's say, look at her technique. Look what she used. Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B. Come on, man.
I thought that was super.
We can't use. Look what they used to say the reaches.
I thought that was effed up. I thought that was very messed up. Not because I have a problem with. I do have my personal opinions about the influence of hip hop, but I love it personally. I think it's great music, but music alone, I don't think it should play such a vital influence in our culture. I think it's just music. It's like rock music, right? Yeah. Whatever. It's just music. I don't think that we definitely in our state, we don't need Megan Thee Stallion or these entertainers out there.
Yeah, lost
no. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all. And to add to that point, who she picked for vice president to run with, a running mate. When we get in positions of power, we forget about everybody else. We forget about the other great black people or minority people who sit around. No, we absolutely forget.
Man, I think it's time to call it like it is. They ain't trying to pick no black person, man.
Like her. What the thing is, I wouldn't care. I don't want a position of power if I can't make my own choices. So back to Joe Biden, the "you ain't black" remark.
See, because I was gonna get on you because let me tell you.
Remember that one?
You kind of like going back, and I'm not trying to go back because there's so much that I could come forward. Now you talking, so
okay.
Let's
Super
go.
Predators in 1993, he remarked that young black men. He framed young black men as super predators. This rhetoric was part of a tough on crime stance that later led to the passage of the 1994 crime bill. He expressed regret for that, but you said what you said, sir. You know what I'm saying? You said what you said. Then his role in Senate and civil rights. Throughout his career, Biden has had a mixed record on civil rights issues. While he worked with prominent black leaders like Senator Strom Thurmond early in his Senate career, Biden later became more aligned with civil rights advocacy.
No, it said something civil rights in '91.
Yeah.
They passed a bill or a law or something.
Yeah, with Strom Thurmond for Civil Rights Act. So he's kind of wishy-washy of a politician to begin with. He goes back and forth because I remember like watching a special where he kind of aligned with like David Duke, the leader of the Ku Klux Klan party.
That's another issue right there. But I'm gonna go ahead and speed you up on the 2000s.
Okay, yeah.
Let's go with affirmative action. It expired. They didn't renew it, but you know under what administration? You know this happened. So that's one.
So where's the leadership there? I mean, what are we putting these people in office to do if we're losing?
We got three more to go. Affirmative action expired.
All right.
The Black Farmer Bill has not passed yet. The black farmers, U.S. black farmers, have filed a major lawsuit against U.S. government over also loans and everything they was doing. But one of them, I believe, was they ended up giving them some type of the wrong seed to grow.
Okay, so it says the Black Farmers Bill, more formally known as Justice for Black Farmers, is a legislative effort aimed at addressing the historical and ongoing discrimination faced by black farmers in the United States. Some of the key provisions was land access and ownership, to stop those discriminatory lending practices and loan denials for black farmers. And then they were looking for land grants and financial support to help black farmers acquire and maintain farmland, and debt relief from black farmers who were historically denied access to USDA loans, who may have faced unfair loan terms which led to financial hardships. And you see, that's the big issue, is like with our leadership, is that it's so many things that are happening to us underneath the surface that have happened to us historically. You have to actually go back and fix some of these things in order for us to get ahead. How can you get ahead if we're still stuck in the impoverished states we were stuck in 60 years ago, right? It doesn't make any sense. What are those people doing for us?
And I gotta get back though. I'm not done.
No, go right ahead, please.
It's 2024.
Okay, go right ahead.
You know, the George Floyd bill ain't passed yet either.
Okay, George Floyd bill.
See, so it's a lot going on right now that we need to be bringing up that ain't coming up. So to me, I'm kind of seeing the game being played.
So the George Floyd bill, it hasn't passed, like you said. The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act was introduced in response to the killing of George Floyd back in May 2020. It's 2025 almost. And this bill is banning chokeholds and no-knock warrants. That's a good thing for us, and talk especially with Breonna Taylor's case, right? Data collection on police misconduct. That is huge. I don't know how we're not passing this stuff, right? Limited qualified immunity. That's a huge issue in our communities. Is that these people who are supposed to be serving and protecting us, when they make mistakes, they're never held accountable for it. Not saying that they want to make those mistakes, but any job, if I mess up the machine on the belt line, I'm going home for a week, right? Or I'm probably getting fired, right?
You know what the easy solution to that though? I mean, it's right there in front of us. Why don't we just join them?
So let me get back to this bill, because so data collection on police misconduct, that's huge.
They have that.
Limited qualified immunity, establishing national standards. I've always said that we need national standards, that these police departments should not be able to have their own policies that are different per communities. And I know a lot of people say, well, those policies keep us safe in our community and our police will know how to serve our communities better, but you just don't understand that it's a lot of bias that comes in with your policies. If your policy is only keep the black folks out and harass them if they come to town, or if they come to my city, keep an eye on them, report, stop and frisk, or these different egregious laws that some of these police departments can put into place, yeah, it's going to help you, but it's not giving us anything. And nationalizing the police is a huge thing that I think that our leadership failed to do. But man, so I really appreciate you coming out today. I think it's been a great conversation, man. Honestly, I think it's been really cool to sit down and talk to you and, you know, get your thoughts, your perspectives. You are a person who is very outspoken in the community. You do a lot for a lot of people. You stand up and fight some good battles, and you have a voice, and I think that's really important. So it's an honor to have you on the show today and just kind of discuss, you know, all these different elements in our black leadership. And I know we went off on like some different tangents here and there, but I think it's just conversation.
All the same bubble.
Yeah, it's just conversation, man. And I think that's what we need more of. We need more of our people coming together and talking about different problems and raising awareness. So, man, I really appreciate it, man. What do you got any final words for us, bro?
Oh, man, I meant to tell everybody,
All
hey,
right,
you know,
ahead.
I also have a radio show.
Yeah.
95.7
Tell me the camera right
FM, Saturdays from 4 to 6. You can call in 260-421-1290, or you can reach me at Apple Orchard News. That's KNEWZ for news. And come on my show.
You got an email address that?
Apple Orchard News.
Apple Orchard? Okay, because I'm going to add
gmail.com.
that. Apple Orchard News.
KNEW is news. APPLEORCHARD. KNEWZ at gmail.com.
Awesome, man.
Y'all shoot me an email.
Yeah, please.
And come on my podcast too. I get it going with Apple Orchard News too, but it's all over the place.
Well, I know you're a busy man. You all over the place.
I'm slowing down though.
There you go. But yeah, so thank you all for coming on the show, watching, seeing what we had to offer tonight. Look forward to more shows with a range of different topics on Club Geneva. This is a all-encompassing show. So any topic, anything that is something that we want to discuss on this platform, all you have to do is let me know. If you see something, if you know a story that you want me to air and talk about, just go to clb.geneva@gmail.com. Thank you for coming out. We'll be seeing you soon next week. Bye-bye. Have a good night.
Look at you. All y'all.